Welcome to our channel, your trusted news aggregator. We bring together the most important stories from around the world into one place, saving you time and keeping you informed with verified information from reliable sources. If you're finding value in what we do, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. It helps us continue bringing you the news that matters. The world woke up this morning to an unprecedented diplomatic crisis. President Donald Trump has declared there is no going back on Greenland. His words sent shockwaves through European capitals. NATO allies scrambled to respond. This is not a routine political disagreement. This is a confrontation that threatens the very foundation of the Western alliance. On Saturday, January 17th, thousands of Greenlanders marched through the streets of Nuuk, their breath visible in the Arctic cold, their voices unified. "Greenland is not for sale," they chanted. Nearly 5,000 people gathered, approximately 1/4 of the capital's entire population. This became the largest protest in Greenland's history. Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen stood among them, waving the Greenlandic flag. In Copenhagen, 20,000 Danes joined the solidarity movement, the streets filled with red and white flags. "Make America Go Away," their caps read, a direct challenge to Trump's MAGA brand. Just as protesters finished their march to the U.S. consulate in Nuuk, news broke. Trump announced 10% tariffs on 8 European nations: Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland. All NATO allies, all being punished for one thing: opposing American control of Greenland. The tariffs begin February 1st. They will rise to 25% by June 1st. They will remain, Trump declared, until a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. If you're still watching, take a moment to subscribe and like this video. Your support keeps us going, and there's much more to this story. European leaders responded with unprecedented unity. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the tariffs completely wrong. Applying tariffs on allies for pursuing the collective security of NATO allies is completely wrong, he stated. French President Emmanuel Macron labeled them unacceptable. Europeans will respond in a united and coordinated manner, he warned. The European Union called an emergency meeting for Sunday afternoon in Brussels. All 27 member states convened. European Council President Antonio Costa announced plans for an extraordinary summit later this week. This is not normal diplomatic procedure. This is crisis management. The situation escalated dramatically over recent days. In December, Trump appointed Jeff Landry as special envoy to Greenland, an informal and uninvited role. Landry stated his objective was to make Greenland part of the United States. Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen called the appointment completely unacceptable. Then, on January 6th, Trump claimed he was open to using military force. He ordered the Joint Special Operations Command to prepare a possible military plan. By January 12th, Trump officials threatened to take action within weeks. Denmark responded by launching Operation Arctic Endurance. Multiple NATO countries sent troops to Greenland for military exercises. Germany deployed Bundeswehr soldiers. Finnish forces arrived. Swedish and Norwegian personnel joined them. This was meant as a show of solidarity, a demonstration of collective defense. Trump saw it differently. He called it a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. Take a moment now to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. We're bringing you the facts as they develop, and your engagement means everything. Trump's rhetoric has grown increasingly aggressive. He posted that NATO should tell Denmark to get them out of here now. He falsely claimed Danish defense forces in Greenland consisted of 2 dog sleds. He stated that considering Denmark decided not to give him the Nobel Peace Prize, he no longer felt an obligation to think purely of peace. The message was clear. Personal grievance was driving policy. "I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding," Trump wrote, "and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland." On Monday, as Trump prepared to travel to Davos for the World Economic Forum, he posted an AI-generated image. It showed him planting an American flag in Greenland. The sign beside him read, "U.S. Territory of Greenland, established 2026. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio flanked him in the image. Trump declared that following a call with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, he agreed to a meeting of various parties in Davos. As I expressed to everyone very plainly, Greenland is imperative for national and world security, he wrote. There can be no going back. On that, everyone agrees, but everyone does not agree. An 85% majority of Greenlanders oppose joining the United States, according to polls from January 2025. Only 6% support the idea. Greenland's Minister for Business and Energy, Nadja Nathanielsen, spoke clearly. We have sent a clear message to the United States that we do not want to be American, she said. There is a red line to all of this. The red line goes with being an occupied country or occupied people. We do not want that. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you want to stay updated on this developing crisis. Your support helps us keep bringing you these crucial stories. European leaders are now considering their most powerful economic weapon, the anti-coercion instrument, described as a big bazooka. This mechanism could restrict U.S. suppliers' access to EU markets. It could exclude American companies from public tenders across the bloc. It could impose export and import restrictions. It could limit foreign direct investment. The Financial Times reported the EU was contemplating 93 billion euros, or $108 billion, worth of retaliatory tariffs. The instrument has never been used before, but these are unprecedented circumstances. In Davos, the crisis dominates conversations. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent defended the administration's position. The European leaders will come around, he said, and they will understand they need to be under the U.S. security umbrella. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen pushed back. Tariffs risk making Europe and the United States poorer and undermine our shared prosperity, she wrote. We have consistently underlined our shared transatlantic interest in peace and security in the Arctic, including through NATO. The pre-coordinated Danish exercise, conducted with allies, responds to the need to strengthen Arctic security and poses no threat to anyone. French President Macron sent private messages that Trump then shared publicly. I do not understand what you are doing on Greenland, Macron wrote. Let us try to build great things. But Trump's response was to bash European leaders on social media and share what appeared to be private diplomatic communications. Denmark continues to reinforce Greenland. By January 19th, 88 billion kroner, approximately $13.7 billion, had been committed to strengthen defense and security in the Arctic. Denmark sent 200 additional soldiers. General Peter Harling Boysen, chief of the Royal Danish Army, arrived in Greenland with more forces. I am ready to defend Greenland, he stated. The soldiers landed in Kangerlussuaq in western Greenland. Make sure you're subscribed and have liked this video. This story is far from over, and will continue to bring you updates. American opposition to Trump's Greenland plan is growing. Democratic Senators Tim Kaine and Republican Rand Paul are exploring options to rein in the president. They appeared jointly on Meet the Press, considering three approaches: a new war powers resolution regarding Greenland, challenging the tariff announcements, and relying on laws preventing unilateral NATO withdrawal. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer announced Democrats would introduce legislation to block the tariffs before they do further damage to the American economy and our allies in Europe. A bipartisan congressional delegation traveled to Copenhagen as protests unfolded. Senator Chris Coons led the group. The Trump administration's tempo of statements around Greenland's potential acquisition was not constructive, he said. There are no pressing security threats to Greenland, Coons insisted. But we share real concern about Arctic security going forward as the climate changes, as the sea ice retreats, as shipping routes change. There are legitimate reasons for us to explore ways to invest better in Arctic security broadly. The United States already maintains military presence in Greenland. Thule Air Base has operated there for decades, though its footprint has shrunk over time. Analysts question why coercive economic measures tied to territorial ambitions are necessary when cooperation already exists. Russia's position adds another layer of complexity. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called Greenland not a natural part of Denmark, but stated Russia had no interest in the island. China has lambasted Trump's claims as a pretext for selfish gains. Beijing and Moscow both condemned the territorial ambitions. Please subscribe and like this video now if you're following this critical story. We need your support to continue this coverage. The protesters in Copenhagen and Nuuk carried powerful messages. Yankee, go home, some signs read. Greenland is already great, others declared. Trump, your need for megalomaniac legacy needs a psychiatrist, not Greenland. One protester brought a sign showing Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Americans, I know there is good in you. Come back to sanity. Julie Rademacher, chair of UAGUT, an organization for Greenlanders in Denmark, captured the stakes. This is not only Greenland being attacked, she said. This is democracy, freedom, and the world order, as we know it, that's being attacked. The timeline ahead is critical. February 1st marks the start of 10% tariffs unless diplomatic breakthroughs occur. June 1st brings the threatened increase to 25%. The extraordinary EU summit will convene later this week. Trump arrives in Davos on Wednesday for face-to-face meetings with European leaders. NATO officials work frantically behind the scenes to prevent the alliance from fracturing. Economists warn that months of difficult negotiations lie ahead, similar to last year's prolonged US-EU trade discussions. My base case is that the February 1st deadline is going to be postponed as diplomatic measures are implemented, said Mohit Kumar, chief European economist at Jefferies. But this is different from the usual trade disputes, he added. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen expressed gratitude for the protests. How lovely it was seeing the unity, she said. She also warned that a US takeover of Greenland would mark the end of NATO. European leaders echoed this sentiment. The joint statement from 8 NATO countries declared, tariffs undermine transatlantic relations and carry the risk of a dangerous downward spiral. As members of NATO, we are committed to strengthening security in the Arctic region as a shared transatlantic interest. The pre-coordinated Danish exercise Arctic Endurance conducted with allies responds to this necessity. It poses no threat to anyone. If you've made it this far, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Share it with others who need to understand what's happening. This crisis represents more than territorial ambition. It challenges fundamental principles, sovereignty of nations, respect for self-determination, the sanctity of international borders, the value of alliances built over decades. Protesters in Nuuk and Copenhagen understand this. So do European leaders scrambling to respond. So do American lawmakers from both parties who see the danger. Greenland's story stretches back over a millennium. Norse settlers arrived in 986. The Inuit came in the 13th century. Today's majority population is Inuit alongside smaller Danish communities, many of mixed heritage. Greenland achieved home rule in 1979. It gained self-government in 2009. It remains part of the Kingdom of Denmark, but controls most domestic affairs. Its people have spoken clearly. They do not wish to become American. The mineral resources Trump covets are real. Rare earth elements, potentially vast oil and gas reserves, strategic location for Arctic shipping routes and military installations. But these facts do not override the will of 56,000 Greenlanders. They do not justify threatening America's closest allies with economic warfare. They do not excuse upending NATO solidarity in the face of global challenges. As Trump insists there is no going back, Europe pushes back with equal determination. The question now is whether diplomacy can prevail, whether meetings in Davos can de-escalate tensions, whether economic threats will be carried out or prove to be negotiating tactics, whether the transatlantic alliance can survive this test. Before we close, please make sure you've subscribed to our channel and liked this video. We're committed to bringing you verified news from multiple sources, all in one place, saving you time while keeping you informed. The protesters who marched through Nuuk's snow-covered streets sent a message heard around the world. Greenland is not for sale. Their democracy is not negotiable. Their sovereignty will not be surrendered. Whether that message reaches the White House remains to be seen. But on this January day, 25% of Nuuk's population stood together. Thousands more joined them across Denmark, and European capitals united in defense of international law and self-determination. This is the news that matters. This is the crisis unfolding in real time, and we will continue to follow it. bringing you facts from trusted sources, presented without bias, giving you the information you need to understand our changing world. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll see you in the next update.